What is up, my good people? I'm back one more again for another video, for another video, for another video. So, you girl been gone for about a year or 8 months. I don't know, same thing. But I've been gone for a while, and I can think of a lot of different reasons slash excuses, but I'm gonna just chalk it up to inconsistency. But I still been reading, I still been doing my thing. I haven't been doing it as much as I would like. But I'm back, I'm better, feeling healthier mentally, so I can take over the world now. So, before I get into that, I just want to say I hope everyone is doing well out there. Your families too. Because, we got this whole new variant out there, still in the midst of a pandemic. So, I really hope everyone is doing well. So, now I can get into the tea. I do want to talk about 7 Days in June by Tia Williams. I really like Tia as an author. I also read The Perfect Find by her. And I just really love everything about Tia's writing voice, the comedy that she puts in there. It's not like full-fledged comedy, but it's some chuckles. I just really like or really enjoy her writing style. I think that I finally found an author that every time she drop a book, I'll look forward to it because I really enjoy her work. So, y'all, I discovered this book, I think, through a Facebook group on Facebook, or through pages I follow on Instagram, or a combination of both. Anyway, I found it through this Facebook group, which is my tribe on there. So if you're a Black girl and you like to read, join this Facebook group called Black Girls Who Read Too, Too. There's two different groups, and I like one more than the other, but I'll let you decide if that's something you want to try. And if you're not Black, it's cool. You can still read the book. So yeah, I decided to go get it because I saw that a lot of people had been talking about it. And I had already added the book to my Amazon list, but I wasn't in a hurry to read. So when I started seeing them talk about it, I'm like, okay, well, let me hop on board. Child, this book was sold out. I'm like, okay, I gotta go to multiple stores. And then the last Target that I went to, they had one more copy left for me. So that's how I knew that it was my time to read it. And plus I wanted to, I didn't want to order online because I wanted to read it for a book club. So yeah, let's get into this book. I really like the cover, and I love the Black love depicted, and I love the colors. And I'm not gonna lie, I am a cover judger. So if an author doesn't have a cute book, I don't want to read it. And that's actually kind of bad for authors that books aren't as good because the cover enticed the people to buy. It's a book cover catfish, but not this book. But anyway, so let's get right on into the tea. Before I get into the tea, I do want to say that I will try my best not to spill the tea. I'm going to try my best to give a very vague summary, but sometimes I don't know how to give the tea without giving the tea. So don't be mad at me, okay? Also, there is a small trigger in there, so if you don't like to hear about self-harm, which I probably will try to just skate over that, then there is mention of that in here. Also, what else I want to mention before I tell you the summary? There's some sex in there, spicy ass sex scene too. I loved it. I loved the way she described it. It gave me great visuals. It's giving, y'all. Like as the young people say, it's giving. So yeah, so let's get right on into this book. So the main characters are Eva and Shane, and originally they met in high school. A quick high school romance. It happened over the course of a week. And they basically, to me, trauma bonded. So, okay, you know, I got stuff going on in my household. You got stuff going on in your household. Let's be friends. And so from there, it blossomed into something much deeper, something much more than they ever anticipated. And so I mentioned the self-harm. That was Eva's forte. And whenever she would indulge, Shane wouldn't judge her. She wouldn't judge him because he had a temper, and he was heavily into drugs, which she was into also, dealing with him. So everything's going well until one day it's not. And they go their separate ways for 15, 20 years. And they don't cross paths again until one day Eva has an event because they're both writers, and Shane shows up because he wants to make it right. And so he's jumping into Eva's life, and she's like, why this man coming back into my life like that? Like, what's good? And so now things are different. So now he's sober. Now Eva, she's a mom to, I think her daughter's in middle school. I'm drawing blanks right now. And she's divorced. She's changed her name because her name hasn't always been Eva. So things are just much different. So Eva obliges Shane and meets up with him. And as they meet up, all this attention is being drawn to them because they are writers, famous writers. One is more famous than the other. To me, I feel like they both have a good enough fan base, but you can decide when you read. Also, yeah, so they meet up, they end up chatting, they end up doing this whole cat and mouse thing, because now Eva ghosts him, and I felt like she was being petty when she did it, but you know, whatever. She was being petty or whatever, but that's how it goes when you got a trauma bond. It's a cat and mouse type of thing. So then Eva's daughter gets in trouble, and so she reaches out to Shane for a favor because she needs him to step in. So he agrees, and then all of a sudden he meets her daughter, and her daughter actually likes him. So fast forward, without giving you the deets, because your girl is trying, fast forward, Eva's daughter invites Shane out to brunch with her and her mom before she has to go off to California with her dad, and Shane does not show up. And that pissed me off too. I was mad for her. That definitely pissed me off because I'm like, you did all of that to do that. But you know, men don't be thinking straight. People don't think straight when there's an emergency involved. So he had an emergency pop up, which I understood, but at the same time, I'm reading it and I'm not, you know, Eva in that moment, because I would have been pissed off like Eva. So the emergency pops off. Then he finally realizes, oh shit, let me hit up Eva because I was supposed to go to brunch today. That had, you know, that left his mind. So by this point, Eva don't want to have nothing to do with him. So the story almost ends on a not so good note until, you know, Eva goes out of town to go research for her next book, and she decides to let Shane stay at her home while she does that. And from there, Eva's friend decides to try to hook them up, and then that's how the book ends. So the book ends, it kind of leaves you in like a hopeful mode. I feel like I'm still saying a lot by saying what I'm saying, but there's hope. The book leaves you with the feeling of like, okay, I can see this possibly going somewhere, because technically it is a romance, and she wouldn't have put it as a romance if it didn't end on a better note. So overall, let me see. Overall, I liked the book. I was not expecting for it to have as many dark moments that it did. I'm not mad at them, but I will say the book is not what I expected. But I don't mean that in a bad way or in a slanderous way. It still was an enjoyable read, at least for me. So go ahead and go get 7 Days in June. Still very much so enjoyable. It just wasn't what I expected. But again, sometimes I live in a fantasy land, and I just thought it would be like a fantasy fairy tale, happy-go-lucky. But again, love can't be like that. And she puts it in a realistic type of way. So, shout out to Tia Williams. So, let me quickly get into The Perfect Find. Also by Tia Williams. I really liked this freaking book. I'm not gonna lie. So this book came out in about 2016. So this came out a while ago. And the reason why I brought this book up, I read this book before I read 7 Days in June, which is why I kind of felt a little slightly disappointed, but two totally different things. But I wanted to mention it because the main character of this book is mentioned in this book, and I really liked that crossover that Tia did. It made me be like, oh wow, I'm glad that Jenna is doing her thing. So anyway, main character of this book is Jenna. She's in the fashion editor type of world. She broke off an engagement, and so now she's trying to rebuild her career. And so she has to go through her arch nemesis to get this job to jumpstart her career and to really start her life over. Because, she had this guy she thought that she was going to be with forever. Now he's really settled in his career. He has money. And so with her disconnecting from him, she has to start from the bottom. She got to get it out the mud, basically. So she starts working with her arch nemesis, and she has to basically create some content that her arch nemesis likes, or else she's not gonna have a job anymore. So her arch nemesis goes by the name of what's that lady name again? Darcy. Child, she's a villain. She's a good villain in here. Like, Tia paints a really great picture of a terrible villain of Darcy, and I liked the picture she painted because it was like, okay, she's a handful. So Darcy hooks Jenna up with what do you call that? I'm trying to think of the term before I butcher it. She ends up hooking her up with her son, his name is Eric. And he's supposed to help her shoot the videos. And so Jenna and Eric hit it off. Then they don't hit it off. Then they hit it off, then they don't. And then next thing you know, they have this amazing chemistry, and they're coming up with this great content. So it evolves into something more. Now, before I get into that, Jenna is in her 40s. Eric is in his 20s. So it's a really big age difference. So that was very interesting. But so they going through the motions. Jenna and Eric not getting along, then they are getting along. So come to find out, Darcy finds out about it, and all hell breaks loose. Jenna has to leave the job. Her and Eric ended up, ending their fling. And next thing you know, fast forward to the end of the book, years later, they end up seeing one another, connecting with one another. Girl, come to find out, Jenna didn't have Eric baby, but didn't tell him because she wanted him to flourish and live his life. Now, I understood that, but she was wrong for that. She could have told that man he had a kid. But the book ends on a really good note. So I really, really enjoyed that book, and I'm sorry I spoiled it for you. But I really, really, really liked that book. Like, again, this is very well written. I liked everything about this book. Literally everything about this book. I liked the spicy, steamy sex stories. I mean, the sex scenes. I liked the background between Jenna and Darcy. Then I liked the background between Darcy and Eric as mother and son dynamic. I liked how Tia wrote about when Darcy wanted to not exploit, but expose Jenna and her son, which she did it in an outrageous way, but I really liked the way it was described and written in this book. This book is probably at the highlight of one of my favorite books of the year that I've read, and I have a handful, but it's in my top 6 for sure, because I got some other ones. It probably is in my top 3 of this year, even though it was written in 2016. But I really, 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 really enjoyed this book. So yeah, it's safe to say that I really like Tia Williams as a writer. Kudos to my girl. I can't wait till she comes out with another one, because I'm going to be there at Target waiting for that book to drop. And so I would say go get both. I got one at Target, and I got another one from eBay. So I have no complaints. I know I'm rambling a little bit, but y'all stay up. Y'all have a good rest of the week, a good rest of the year. And I'll catch y'all in my next video. And I promise I won't be gone for another 8 months, another year, because that's just unacceptable. And plus, I need to come back on here and talk about some other books I didn't read, okay? So, bye guys. I hope you have a good time. Bye guys. I hope y'all have a good whatever. I don't know, child. I'm just talking bye.